Check. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Supreme Decisions here, and today I am going to do what I actually been trying to do for the past month of Sundays for the most part, and that's get together with you guys and have a question and answer session because I get a lot of questions, and a lot of times when we're talking, people say what I'm talking about is repetitive. Well, the reason why I keep talking about a lot of things that are repetitive is because most of the things that we're talking about are the everyday thing that people deal with. And it's also the main thing of how someone learns, as well as it is that thing that keeps coming up. Because regardless of whatever I'm doing or how I'm doing it, people have the exact same question. Because most time, for whatever reason, I love you guys that are coming in and watching my videos. But for the most part, a lot of you guys are not, I guess, retaining what it is that you're looking at. Now, had to check, make sure we had proper volume and I sounded good. All right. Well, today, as you saw when it first came in, one of the first questions I got is something. Well, actually, let me ease into this real quick. What we're gonna do on these question and answer session days is you guys hit the cash app. Send me your question in the memo, or you can hit one of the other donation links, and we can actually kind of go into, whatever the question is, because some of the questions may not be YouTube worthy. And what I mean by that is that it may have something that goes on along the lines where asking that particular question may kind of conflict with something that's being done or should be said on YouTube. So that's there. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure I answer you guys' questions. And the first one that came across was and Sam, this is what I'm talking about, man. Sam, that's a great question. And when you're doing it, regardless of how you're doing it or understanding the context, is done through federal law, through the federal court system. Now, Sam, hit one of those donation links that's in the description or hit the Cash App. But like I said, what I'm going to do is we're going to have these sessions hopefully every Sunday. I'm probably going to do them a little bit earlier, considering every day my plan is to put out a video at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So wherever you're at, East Coast, that'll be like 7. Alabama-ish Central Time will be about 6. And in California, Pacific Time will be about 4 o'clock. But they will be out. You guys can hit the link, enjoy it, leave your comments, let me know what you're thinking. And for the most part, let's get rolling. So the first question that we came across today is, let me see if I can bring that in. And boom. As you can see, can a U.S. Marshal just come in your house looking for a fugitive? Now, when that first came across, that was actually something that was, it was kind of like, why ask that question? But then I understand, because again, it's something that I am witness to. And what I mean by that is the fact that not only was I picked up on a fugitive warrant at one point, but also I had relatives that was actually caught up in the midst of being picked up on fugitive warrants. Now, I appreciate you, Sam. But going into that, understanding when you're dealing with the U.S. Marshal, they're going to have one or of two types of warrants. If they are U.S. Marshals, they are coming with what is called a fugitive warrant. Fugitive warrant is pretty much a warrant describing the person they are looking for. Now, so we also understand the context or the general context of a warrant. We have the knock warrant, which where they have to come, identify themselves, hand it to you, let you know who they're searching for and where they are searching in particular at. So, which actually goes into another one of the questions that I've already prepared, because it was one that, again, I've gone through the comments and things like that and gone through my emails and whatnot and come up with these. But it goes into understanding what's supposed to be in the warrant. Remember, everything they do has to be specific. Who they're looking for specifically, where they're looking specifically. Now, we know of the no-knock warrant because of the infamous Breonna Taylor fiasco for the most part. And then we're looking at the context of understanding why the no-knock, understanding the context of when it is applicable. Now, the no-knock is basically no knock, no announce. With a knock warrant, they have to knock and announce, because we know Terryville, Ohio, they must articulate why they are there. Now, I've had an instance where my grandmother was issued a warrant, and when she was handed the warrant, they just walked in. Just so happened I pulled up right behind them walking in, and one of the fugitive or U.S. Marshals that was there, he recognized me. Why? Because he had just executed a warrant on me and my brothers probably 2 months prior. And so when he hands me the warrant, because technically I'm on the, I guess the lease or whatever of my grandmother's, or the deed of my grandmother's residence. So he hands me the warrant as well, and he starts laughing. And I told him, I said, yeah, because what you guys did were outside the guidelines of the warrant, and she just let y'all go and do it. Now, understanding that as well, you can pretty much police how the police are going through and going about doing their business. Now, a lot of times you see them tearing up, pulling drawers out and dumping stuff on the floor and tearing up closets, tearing up things. They are still liable for those actions. But again, that's part of the fight. Now, understanding what they can do is just aggravate you and frustrate you. You have to understand what it is that you're willing to lose or get into when you're going through the context of getting all these things done. So, can a normal citizen get a warrant? I don't actually understand the context. Mostly when we're doing it, we're asking for a service. Police are not obligated to do a service for us. But it wouldn't be called a warrant, so to speak. It'll be called some type of restraining order. But that's also something I spoke about last week in the podcast, civil versus criminal contempt. Those are court orders. Those will be sought directly from a judge, directly from a particular precinct. But again, that goes into the lines of service. Now, what am I looking for? Okay. Remember, I gotta type these because I didn't type these up before I started this. So give me a half a second. I gotta find the questions. Okay, next part. This is actually one. Can a law enforcement officer search my home or office? Now, here are the kind of candy coated um, responses that I had, because again, it was something that I sat down and spoke with an attorney. I guess you call him not an attorney, but a representative that works with the ACLU, and basically great answers, because again, it was about the compromiseness, the understanding of where their mindset is. But I'm also going to give you something that goes along with this, because it goes a little deeper than can a law enforcement officer search my home or office. Because law enforcement officers can search your home only if they have a warrant or your consent. Remember, you have to give consent. If you don't give consent, they have to get consent from a judge. Why? Because Malloy v. Briggs states that the magistrate is in a better position of understanding what probable cause is, as far as taking responsibility for looking for that probable cause and pretty much giving them an order. They are at your mercy, acting outside these guidelines without your consent, without exigent circumstances, without probable cause, without a judge's signature, allows you to actually take them into court for violations such as Sam just brought up, violation of oath. You also have other things that come in there, but those things walk under that. And these also are cases that are brought up that are based out of Georgia. And right this second, for whatever reason, my silly ass did not write down the case, but it's one that I did literally like in the first 15 videos that I did. And matter of fact, I believe it is video 8, where I talk about the 8 exigent circumstances. And we can actually discuss that on my next live, which will probably be tomorrow. Now, side note, want you guys to know, the more you guys are contributing to me being here, allows me to be greater and be on here more. Because yes, we're moving into the office. It's the new year. Nothing set up inside the office yet, because unfortunately on the weekend, I guess nobody wants to work at the beginning of the year, so it is what it is right this second. But we will be moving in within the next, hopefully, week, and we'll have everything up and running, thanks to the people that have been contributing, that have been allowing us to grow. And thank you in advance for those that are going to help us continue to grow. And remember, t-shirts also in white. Grab your t-shirt, and you would do that directly through me. Now, back to this. In your absence, the police can search your home based on the consent of your roommate or a guest if the police reasonably believe that that person has authority to consent. This is where the Georgia case comes in, because a roommate cannot give consent. But just like I spoke about, not only is my name on the deed of my grandmother's property, my grandmother, who they spoke with, is on the deed of the property. So with both names being there, they don't need both of us. They need consent from one person. Now, the flip side of that is, if my grandmother wasn't there and I was there, they do not have authority to just walk in unless there are exigent circumstances. They can set up someone to watch the property until. Now, they can do other things. However, they don't have it unless the homeowner or the actual person that is on the lease is there. Absent that, you now have grounds for a suppression hearing, a map hearing. These are things that need to be kind of thrown into your backpack, because this is part of the weaponizing your defense. And now law enforcement officers can search your office only if they have a warrant or the consent of the employer. So if you are the employer, they don't have consent unless that warrant is directly for you. Now, there are things, because where my office is, not a part of that ownership. So my landlord, if I wasn't there, can offer the police the consent if they have a warrant to enter property where my office is. However, where my business is located, the building is mine, the lease is mine, the land is mine. They need everything directly from me. So, understand the rest of that. We'll get into that. But it is what it is on that. Just understanding context. One is owned by me. The other one is owned by someone else. It's leased by me. So, one, they need consent from me. The other, they need consent from the landowner. Now, so, and I'll actually probably go over that again, like I said, later. Now, the next one is, because I don't want to keep just writing this crap like this. Actually, I might need to give me this. All right. Now, give me a half a second because I'm going to actually give me this. Media. And boom. What are warrants and what should I make sure they say? Because just like I just said, you have to understand what the context is that you are looking at and looking for and the reason behind that. So, what we're going to do now is, again, going to read a little bit. Don't be afraid to hit that Cash App because I love you guys. And every little dollar helps. All right. A warrant is a piece of paper signed by a judge giving law enforcement officers permission to enter a home or other building to do a search or make an arrest. That right there, because I told you, and I've always said this, the biggest words in law are if, or, and. If, or, and. All of them give you context to something else. In this case, it gives you separation between the search and the arrest. So whenever I tell you to get the warrant application for the arrest, they got to have that. The warrant application for the search, which actually is what they're using for probable cause, and then we need other things that go along with that. A search warrant allows law enforcement officers to enter the place described in the warrant to look for and take items identified in the warrant. Look for and take items identified in the warrant. Alrighty. I don't know why the list didn't ring. That's actually kind of odd. I want to head to change. Okay, well, guess not. All right, just got $50 for a question on the Cash App. Don't be afraid to hit it. Hit it. There we go. Hit it. I'll get to your question in just a few minutes. Thank you, Samantha. I apologize. Okay. A search warrant allows law enforcement officers to enter the place described. The description of the place. To look for and take items identified in the warrant. Because remember, it has to be specific about what they're looking for and where they're looking at. Now, they can't just say living room. Living room where? What are you looking for in the living room? These are questions that have to be answered within the warrant. What happens is a lot of times you get this because these are part of the warrant application where it's vague, it's a lot of words, and it's doing a lot of things unnecessarily just to create confusion. And you remember I always tell you, the devil is in the details, because what the devil brings is chaos and confusion, because it takes you off what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it. So they'll give you a lot of extra BS that has nothing to do with what you are looking for or what's not being looked for, and it offers them opportunities for things such as plain view. But again, it also opens the door for a suppression hearing, because they're doing things outside the guidelines of the warrant. An arrest warrant allows law enforcement officers to take you into custody. What happens is 90% of us do not even contest the arrest. I'm going to say 90% of us do not contest the arrest. One of the easiest is unlawful arrest. Most of us deem it as kidnapping, but we don't enforce it. Most of us deem it as something it really is, unlawful arrest, but we do not pursue it. Now, what I give you is pretty much a blueprint in order to do that. But this is one of the things that go along with it. So whenever I'm saying grab this, grab that, go look for this, go look for that, it's because those are the things necessary to set up your case. Not necessarily your defense, but your offense whenever you're pursuing the lawsuits, when you are actually pursuing your freedom, when you are actually looking to regain your liberty. These are the things that I'm asking you to look for. An arrest warrant alone does not give law enforcement officers the right to search your home, but they can look in places where you might be hiding and take evidence that is in plain sight. Because again, a lot of times what they forget is you just can't just walk into somebody's house. You have to be invited. You can't just do all these extra stuff, because I often hear, well, police do what they want to do. Well, that's your fault. Because a toddler does what it wants to do until they're shown something different. They're giving a reason to do something different. When you pop that hand once or twice, guess what they start doing? They start remembering, that get my hand popped. I don't want the hand popped. When you don't do something and you understand the context of the mind, because I was actually watching something earlier, because I'm going to finish this part and I'm going to come back. I was watching something, it was called game theory. It actually intrigued me because it gives you the psychology behind what a game is. And it also talks about the psychology of how people learn. People learn through pleasure and pain. Because people recall, because like one of the things I speak about is my level of PTSD. When I speak about being angry, the angrier I got, the more I remembered. Why? Because I associated anger with situations. In that situation, my anger exploded. Oftentimes, I was learning in that moment. So my learning in an explosive situation allowed for my regurgitation of the information that was being taught to me. Now, when you're talking about the game theory, it is simply strategy. That's what's being given to you by each and every one of my videos. I'm giving you strategy for being free. I'm giving you strategy to teach, to instruct, to actually level the playing field. Because that was actually one of my first ones, but I left that alone. Nobody liked it. Because when you are now understanding, a public servant is just that, a servant to the public. You understand what an oath is. It's a signed agreement to serve the public. Understanding who the public is, understanding the placement of the public. Now, going back through that, it's understanding your place in the game, because even pawns have power if used properly. I'm also going to do a section or kind of a video where I talk about sacrificing your queen. Because most people don't understand the queen is the most powerful part of a chessboard, the most powerful piece in a game, but it's got one job: protecting the king. But if the king has no idea of how to utilize the pawns, the bishops, the knights, and the queen, there's no direction. This is where I'm trying to get you guys to, because understanding where we're going and how we're going there. So, back to this. When I give you the context of plain view, when I give you the context of what needs to be fought for, you need to fight every inch, every minute, every hour. Because even one of the greatest things that you're ever going to do is understand that this is my line. I'm drawing it in the sand, and I'm going to defend it with all I have. So, and a search warrant alone does not give them the right to arrest you, but they can arrest you if they find enough evidence to justify an arrest. Because remember, an arrest without probable cause is an illegal arrest. Terryville, Ohio. See how that one case, no matter what I'm talking about, it goes down to the correlation and context of police encounters. It went through 7 guidelines of how a police interaction, which deals with their procedures, when it goes into MAP v. Ohio, or MAP hearings, evidentiary suppression hearings. These things are all correlated in one, but it goes over and spills out from Terryville, Ohio. An arrest warrant that does not have your name on it may still be valid, used for your arrest if it describes you with enough detail to identify you. Now, I don't know what you guys know about being arrested by the feds, because, well, I do. So, one of the things they do is, to me, it was the oddest thing ever. Because they strip you naked, they have you stand next to somebody who examines your body thoroughly. They take notes and pictures of scars. They take notes and pictures of tattoos. They take notes and pictures of human deformities, such as fingers. See, a little crooked. All those are in when you talk, again, go back to the marshals. When the U.S. Marshals are coming, they may not have a facial description of you, but they will have other things that correlate with who you are, as far as scars, tattoos, deformities, anything that identifies you. These are things that will be placed into these types of warrants. Because again, not always here, especially if you're dealing with a woman. She changed her hairstyle, it might be a wrap. You know, she might be bald head today, got hair down to her ass on tomorrow. Don't know. Now, hell, some guys, bald head today, which since I was 16, so hair to your ass on tomorrow. You know. And you know what? I'm glad you asked that, Samantha. Because I am going to go into a section of the George Floyd case, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I've been going back and forth, because again, my videos, 99% of them are not monetized, so I don't get anything from YouTube other than what you guys are sending out, and the people that are joining a tier, which join a tier. One of them fits you. And they are blocking a lot of my videos, which is also why I'm going, I think right now, because we're still having issues with uploading because of my content. A lot of platforms are not 4K ready. So a lot of my videos are still, we're still trying to get my videos out, but it's slow going. But it's coming. It's still coming. I think right now we're on about 20 platforms, but it's, again, it's a process. So hopefully in the next couple months we'll be on at least 46 platforms, because that's one thing. The invitation is, everybody's got their arms out like, come on, we need this. But the fact that we're not able to accommodate what's going on, because even today, I wanted to do this in 1080, because I hate what the lag on this is. But at the same time, I have to use with what I have, and right now I have 720 speed. I have 30 frames per second, video speed. So as you saw, even in Atlanta, I had 4K speed, but I didn't have 60 frames per second speed. So it's coming, because again, in the office, once everything is in there and installed and running and we're going, we will have fiber optics. We will have, 4K, 60 frames per second. We will have the finishes. All of this will be set up, because I don't have to do 1,000 different things just to be ready for today. And, everything will be more timely as you're coming, because again, just like I said, we got the iMac that's here. It's going, it's growing. But yeah, anyway, let me go ahead and finish with this section, because I think I got about 3 more questions. What is this? Nope. 1, 2, yeah, 4 more. Okay. And a search warrant does not have to have your name, but it still may be valid if the correct address and description of the place officers will be searching. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to show a video where these officers, not once, not twice, but 6 times in Chicago, went to the wrong address looking for a wrong person and tore up these people's houses. And now, Raheem Emanuel, who was the mayor, and Eddie Johnson, who actually got fired, allowed this to continue. And these are the things that most people are not actually looking at, because this wasn't only minorities. This happened to people that had some affluence. And it's like, hold on, like, this is not right. We need to do something about this. And they actually went out and did something. And they did something collectively. They didn't lead the poor people out. They didn't lead the people that was in the middle class out. They said, all of us are going. We're all filing individual suits, because they're not going to just box us in one and class action us. No, we're going to do this individually, and we're going to show you, our attorneys are going to show your attorneys how to get this done. And they went back and got everything situated. But it's the fact that they kept searching the wrong place, knowing it was the wrong place. And this happens more often than not. And believe it or not, you don't even have to take my word for it. You can ask retired police officers. You can ask police officers that have been on the force more than 9 years. You can ask police officers, because everybody understands the context of why I give you those guidelines. The 1 to 5 they shooting, and from 5 to 9 they all right. But after 9, yeah, you might get a bullet in your ass. But understand. But again, that's something else. That's a different conversation. And however, the fact that a piece of paper says warrant on it does not always mean that it is an arrest warrant or a search warrant. A warrant of deportation or removal, for example, is a kind of administrative warrant and does not grant the same authority to enter a home or other buildings. Understand, whenever I tell you what you're looking for, always be sure you spot the things that are not supposed to be there. So you have to also understand what you're looking at of what's not there. Because an administrative warrant is not an arrest warrant, it's not a search warrant. All it is here you go. Can we? Nope. Even if it's signed by a judge. And even if they still go through, you still have the option, the opportunity, the duty to hold them liable for their actions, because they will hold you liable for yours. Now, here's the great one, and it's the easy one. What should I do if officers come to my house? See, I should have actually went ahead and typed this one up. All right. Let's get it. Boom. All right, boom. Give me a half a second. Getting ready to grab this. Boom. Now. All right, that's the question. What should I do if officers come to my house? Now, you hear me preach. You hear me preach. You have the right to not participate in their investigation. I'm going to say that one more time. Florida v. Royer says you have the right not to participate in their investigation. If law enforcement officers knock on your door, instead of opening the door, ask through the door if they have a warrant. If their answer is no, your answer is no. Because I gave a police officer an example. And I asked him, how often are you going to someone or introducing yourself to someone and it's a good occasion? And it was the reason why it was funny was because he actually thought it was funny, because never. It's pretty much never. And thank you, Dexter Frank's hearing. So volunteering something without the probable cause is inviting the devil into your house. And I often told my grandmother, how often can you invite the devil into your house before they take up residency? They're generally not looking for something good. While it may be something that has nothing to do with you, or you are probably the best citizen on the planet. We're still dealing with people with quotas. We're still dealing with people that are not always acting in the best interest of their badge or of their oath. Why offer them extra opportunities? Now, you can simply answer, I don't want to talk to you. The biggest part of that is the fact that I had a police officer. It was kind of a tee-hee. Came to the house, aunt opened the door, and he was like, well, yeah, you come outside. And she was like, no, I'm not coming outside. You know, because it was actually kind of cold. It was early, like 8 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, yeah, come outside. I want to talk to you. Blah, blah, blah. She was like, no, I'm not talking to you. So he kept doing this back and forth BS trying to get her to come outside to talk. So she was like, no, I'm not doing it. He stuck his foot in the door, and I yelled to him. I said, you do realize that's a Fourth Amendment violation because she hasn't invited you in and you don't have a warrant. So that means you don't have consent and you don't have a judge's signature. He removed his foot, and then he yelled through the window, well, that's not a Fourth Amendment violation. And then my aunt, who didn't really want to go through it, she hands over a complaint, sends it out to multiple places. The officer was actually reprimanded because had she pursued it, she could have gotten monetary value from his stupidity. But they actually retrain the officers to not stick their foot in the door unless, understand it, unless they're, that if, do not stick your foot in the door unless, if there is this available, if this is done, if that is something there. Because what you have to understand is the whole context of understanding what it is that they are allowed to do and what they aren't allowed to do. And one of the things that they can't do is yell out, "I don't know," because you can't get a warrant from "I don't know," and you damn sure don't get "my consent." "I don't know" doesn't work for me either, because I don't accept that from children. I damn sure can't accept it for an adult that volunteered to do their job. They actually filled out an application and said, "I want this." I cannot then give you a pass because you don't want to do this correctly. So, here's another one. Do I have to answer questions if law enforcement have a search or arrest warrant? Here's the easy. You have the right to remain silent. You do not have the obligation to offer an alibi. Florida v. Royer, again, you do not have to participate in their investigation, because they'll yell out, "Well, I'm gonna arrest you for obstruction." Obstruction of what? You don't even know what you're investigating. Because neither a search warrant nor arrest warrant means you have to answer a question. And guys, I'm actually gonna have to cut it short. I have a video coming up. We got more questions and answers coming shortly. So I love you guys. I'll probably be back on tonight. Don't forget, hit that Cash App and be ready when we're going through these questions and answers, because I actually want to talk about the show tonight. So be ready for the questions on the videos. And any questions that you may have, Cash App. Cash App. Grab your t-shirts. Hit me directly for them. Got them in white. The whites look great as well. And love you guys. Let's keep going. Let's keep growing. And you know what time it is. Supreme out.